Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time. Developer note, new combatant, Typhera preview. All right, first look here. I'm gonna go over it together, and also some stuff on the Great Rift update here. So let's check this out. The new boss is gonna be someone we saw in the story mode, spoilers, Big Hands Man. That's what I like to call him, the Big Hands Man. Okay, so I think they're doing some neat stuff with the Big Hands Man because he's got two hands on top of the hands in his mouth, which is pretty interesting. So he's gonna be able to give you beneficial statuses when either of the hands are hit, and if they're hit a certain number of times, the head will apply debuffs or initiate an attack against you. Now, they don't really do too well of a job, I'm gonna say this on the stove post. Like Google Translate's basically what we're working with here. But at the end of the day, it seems like this Great Rift might be a little bit more interesting than some of the other ones because there's gonna be multiple different targets here. There's gonna be hit this hand for a buff, hit it too many times, you get a debuff. You're gonna make the ability for the boss to do more damage to you, increase or decrease depending on what you're doing here. So we'll have to see exactly how this plays out when we get the full kit because they're not giving us the entire thing right now. But it seems to be pretty cool, all right? So you have to mess with the hands and the head becomes attackable after both of the arms are destroyed, but when you destroy the arms, right, additional actions happen and occur. So it looks like it's gonna be a little bit of a balancing act there, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But let's get into what you're really here for, which is the new Combatant Typhera preview. Now, controllers are extremely strong in this game. I think still probably the best class in Chaos Zero Nightmare as a whole because of how versatile they are. And she's gonna be an Order supporter. And before we get into this, my friend and I had a little conversation before they even did any of this stuff. And I said, well, based on the season and the new set that came out and the release of 9, I think she's gonna be a character that has the ability to create cards, interact with exhaust, and it probably wants to benefit characters who want to hit like one time really hard. So let's see how close we are in here. Also, like they got 40 friendship. So let's get in here. Our newest combatant, Typhera, is a controller type Order unit. Yes, yes, yes. Support oriented combatant specializing in dramatically amplifying allied fire power. So let's see exactly what she does here. Some art for her cards. I like that. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking. She generates creation cards with various effects such as heal, shields, AP, and ally buffs. Now, I hope we're not getting into we just buffed Orlia. We're gonna make Orlia 2.0 with all the same mistakes that Orlia 1.0 had. All right, using those cards provides powerful allied support. The generated creation cards have the exhaust keyword, 1 point for your boy. All right, allowing for synergy by leveraging effects triggered upon exhaustion, which is something that we've been seeing in season 2 a lot. So that's why I predicted that. It makes a lot of sense to me from a development standpoint. You can also combine the AP and upgrade effects provided by creation cards with high cost cards to execute strategies that maximize damage. Typhera's unique cards and epiphanies are designed to offer a wider range of tactical options, from how creation cards are generated to how they are utilized. Oh, dude, all right, this is the most PR speak of all. That's super cool, guys. It's super cool, guys. No, we'll find out. Among them, we like to introduce Event Horizon, a card that forms powerful synergy with creation cards. I like how I can't read that. All right. Event Horizon is a 2-cost card that provides 1 action point, 1 draw, and increases the damage amount of the first hit of the next attack card by 40%, serving as an allied support skill. Okay, the new keyword form upgrade strengthens the random effects of the Event Horizon card each time a creation card is activated. So this is what I'm talking about. This says it does like all of them, and this says it does a random thing. Do they have, let's just scroll on. Do they have, okay, they do have a table. All right, we'll see. In addition, Typhera's cards are built around generating creation cards featuring unique effects that allow them to be utilized in various ways. Oh, baby. Okay, I thought these were the creation cards. I'm gonna say they all have mana costs. They all have AP costs associated with them. We can get a look at the art here real quick. I do like the fact that, you know, 3 of her cards have her design on them. It's just like a nitpicky thing for me. I like when the characters are actually on the cards. Some characters have like 1 card where they're on the card art, and the rest of them are just like, here's an activity, here's a thing going on. And I feel like I'm not that into it, you know, especially when I'm trying to get like the shiny versions, the animated versions of the cards. I think the animated cards look cooler when the characters are on there. Like this one right here, her upgrade card, this 3rd one at the bottom, and the 4th one, the final one. Like these bottom 3 probably look super dope animated. All right, let's see. Starting card. 1 cost, 100% defense-based damage, a heal, and a heal. Very basic. Quantum Seed is the card she starts with. Heals 100%. creates 2 archetype cards in the draw pile, then draw one of those cards for 0. I'm already seeing something that I'm not the biggest fan of. And I'm assuming the archetype cards, that's going to be like her creations, right? Like a Swifty, Softy, Sturdy. This is cool that it costs 0. It's cool that it creates 2 things, and then you draw one of them. The thing I don't like about this already is that if she's got a bunch of like create stuff, put it in the deck, draw some, create stuff, put it in the discard pile, draw some, she's just making your deck bigger and bigger and bigger, which is something I'm not too keen on. Now here's the Form Conversions card. All right, this is the card that, Form Convergence was up here. Event Horizon and Form Convergence. Okay, Form Convergence has Retain on it. Draw 2 archetype cards, then double a random effect of those cards for 1 turn at a cost of 1 AP. So that helps out a lot. That works well with Quantum Seed. All right, so you have some in your deck that you shuffled in there, then you use Form Convergence to draw them out. So we don't hate that. Creation and Destruction, 120% defense-based damage. We don't really care, but it also has an 80% heal and an 80% shield. And then Harmonization doubles all effects. And if you don't remember what Harmonization does, I think it's a keyword that got introduced in Season 2. It's on one of the Spore cards, and it's like an effect that activates if the AP that you have in total is equivalent to the AP that the spell costs. So like Harmonization for this would be like, if you have 1 AP and you use this because it costs 1 AP, it'll activate the Harmonization effect. Which, okay, cool. I'm gonna get 160 shield, 180 heal, and some damage on this. I'm not really the biggest fan of this card's base version because she's a supporter and it's like just kind of bleh, kind of whatever. Here's the Dual Creation. Is 1 cost, is unique. When 2 archetype cards are created, create 1 identical card in the discard pile. So we have one that puts an extra card in the draw deck, and now we have a unique effect that puts them in the discard pile. The reason I don't really, I'm not the biggest fan of adding stuff to the deck is it makes your plays more inconsistent, especially when you're adding random stuff, right? Because it says they have the ability to generate action points, draw cards, or increase the damage of the first hit of the next attack card. So you're gonna get one of these things at random, and then you're gonna get one in your hand, one in your graveyard, one in your discard pile, depending on which card you're playing. Now keep in mind that these are the base versions of her cards, and we'll know more about them. Maybe they can fix some of this stuff depending on what actual epiphanies that these cards will have. But that's my big thing I'm keeping an eye on about this character, whether or not I'm interested in her or not. I don't want this giant deck bloat. It's happened before. It's just not fun. You ever played like Tresor stuff back in the day, right? E6 Tresor, where you're like, oh, I make a bunch of Shadow Daggers. Oh, I ended my turn preemptively and I put 6 Shadow Daggers in my graveyard, and then my graveyard shuffled into my draw pile, and now your deck's full of Shadow Daggers. It's not fun. Right, so Event Horizon, all right, is unique as well. Form upgrade 0 of 3, so I'm assuming that it keeps track of different stuff. 1 AP, draw 1, increase the damage amount of the first to the next attack card by 40%. So it doesn't really form upgrade. Keyword form upgrade strengthens the effects of Event Horizon card each time a creation card is activated. So you have to activate 3 of her other creation cards, and then this will give you an AP, draw you a card, and increase the damage of the first hit of the next attack card by 40%. This costs 2. This is the base epiphany of this card, and I do believe that we'll probably get, I'm just guessing here based on this, because looking at this right now, you have a 2-cost card that generates you 1 AP, okay? Right, 2-cost card that draws you a card. That actually does something. And then buffing the damage of your next attack card by 40% is pretty decent as well. But the whole like get 1 AP for spending 2 AP is a little weird here. So I expect that this is gonna have different epiphanies that sort of like branch off into making each of these individual effects like the focus of this card, right? There'll maybe be a version that gives you more AP, maybe be a version that draws you more cards, maybe be a version that increases the damage bonus more than 40%. And so the Event Horizon epiphanies might go that way. I could see that, and that would be a pretty cool thing. Now, here's the created cards that she generates. They're all 0 costs, thankfully. One of them's a small heal that gives you an AP. The other one is 50% shield and increase the damage of the first hit of the next tech card by 30%, max 300%. So they do have a cap on this already. They don't want us going infinite with infinity creations apparently. And then we have archetype square down here is a small heal and you draw an archetype card. In this third one, you know, I think this one exists to help you keep the deck bloat down, right? If you're creating multiple creation cards with Tiphera, right, you're gonna put some in the draw pile, you're gonna put some in the discard pile. And if the one that you have in your hand happens to just be like the archetype, you know, this version down here, you can draw the other one and keep your deck from bloating. So she does have like a little bit of RNG, similar to like Orlia with a swifty, softy, sturdy thing. Like which one do you want to get? In the base version, there's a lot of like random creation generations, and like we saw with Orlia, a lot of her epiphanies allow you to reduce the RNG on which of the creations you're getting. There are still some RNG ones, but there's some that are like you're making swifty all the time, you're making softy all the time, you're making sturdy all the time. I expect to see something of that nature with Tiphera as well. And then I expect to see, like we talked about with creation, destruction, dual creation, and event horizons, it's just something to reduce in her other new epiphanies that are, you know, going to be released when we get her full kit. Something to reduce like this deck bloat, discard bloat sort of issue here. Now, I know someone's already probably put it down in the comment section below, and there are a couple of good Colosseum buffs that you can get during season 2, like draw an exhaust card of this character at the start of battle, draw an exhaust card 30% of the time at the start of the turn for this character at the start of the turn, which would be pretty good with all these creation cards. Now, I hope that they didn't develop this character with us always getting those buffs in mind when we're doing zero runs with her. I don't know why I'm calling them zero runs, chaos manifestation runs, chaos runs with her, because we already have to deal with the RNG of getting the right epiphanies, the right divine epiphanies, all that stuff. It's a lot easier in season 2, but I don't want to have to do all of that stuff and also make sure that I'm getting the right, you know, equipment buffs, right, from the dimensional Colosseum, I like to call it, in chaos manifestation runs where I'm drawing exhaust cards just so I can fight against this bloating of my deck and discard pile. But it does look like she actually is just like, hey, we called it, right? It just looked like we called it before, where she deals with exhaust. She wants to buff up big hitting skills. Makes sense. 9 just came out. It's going to work well with anyone like that, like Haru, Kairon, maybe, right? Exhausting cards, drawing cards, getting AP, maybe doing something with that, buffing up Kairon's next attack. I know Kairon's not like the craziest thing in the world, but anyone who wants to do just single big hits out there, if you're a gamer like that, you might be more interested in someone like Tyera. I am interested in seeing what the rest of her epiphanies do, because, you know, this game's not been out forever, but you cannot get the full picture of a character's kit just with their base cards. You can kind of take a guess at it like we did down here. As of right now, I'm not super interested in her, just because, you know, she seems to be very similar to Orlia, but I can see the potential of her, especially if she gets some nice divine epiphanies on her, and if some of these other epiphanies that we're going to see in the future allow you to focus her in on, I want this Tiphera to be AP generation card draw, I want this Tiphera to be damage boost healing, I want this Tiphera to be a mix of these two things. If you can get different epiphanies to sort of keep her from being totally RNG, that's going to go a big mile. And then obviously, like we talked about 1,000 times, I don't want to end up with Tiphera and then be like, yeah, I have 15 creations in my deck, hope you don't draw them next turn, sort of thing. So we'll see about that. She looks pretty interesting down below. Let me know what you think about her. She's pretty cool, and I'll catch you guys pretty soon in the next one, hopefully not as early in the morning.